4:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Angie will please call the roll.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Gay.
Here.
Commissioner Sapsy.
Here.
Commissioner Bunting. Here. Commissioner Owens.
Here. George, do we get you to?
Bow your heads, please. Gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the day that you've given to us and the blessings in it. And we just pray, Father, that you be with us tonight through our deliberation, that we could do the best for the folks of Gratiot County. For it's in the name we pray. Amen.
Finish with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
For the agenda.
Been supported that the agenda be approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Brief public comment. Somebody wanna address the chamber? Terry was gonna talk to us for a minute there. Consideration of the consent calendar.
Consent calendar.
Four.
Moved and supported that the consent calendar be approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Administrators report.
Good evening. Personnel update for you. Our veteran service officer interviews will be on January 3rd and January 4th. We'll be holding interviews for our animal service officer, animal control officer on January 2nd and January 3rd. Central Dispatch has scheduled 3 shadow interviews for their single open position. We held the employee recognition holiday lunch last week. It was well attended by not only the employees here, the sheriff's office, but the commissioners also. So I want to thank you for showing up. It means a lot that our employees get to see you and sit down and talk to you, that you're available and can listen to anything that they'd like to talk to you about. So again, thank you for showing up. Thanks to the engagement committee that put together a wonderful potluck style meal. I thought the giveaways and the games were a wonderful gift for our employees. We have reached a tentative agreement with our Central Dispatch Union, and the union has ratified. The authority will be meeting tomorrow to accept or reject this, which I would assume that they will be accepting. Just want to say that it was a very good negotiation with the central dispatchers, and we look forward to working with them again in the future. As far as our negotiations with patrol and corrections, we have been appointed an arbitrator. We'll keep the board updated on what that schedule looks like. Nothing has been set in stone outside of who we will be working with going forward. As far as the grounds here, something very unique has happened in the last 2 weeks, something that I've never seen or been a part of here. We received a $23,000 anonymous donation to be used on a maintenance or beautification project for the courthouse. What I would like to do at some point in the next month or two is to hold a discussion with the commissioners on what they think this project might be. I would prefer not to have it be a run-of-the-mill project. I would like it to be a special project where the proper recognition could be given for this donation. Today, Tony Miller, our community development director, organized and hosted an OSHA training session here in the courthouse. We did invite all the local municipalities and it was well attended. We had over 25 attendees for this training session that Tony organized. I'm very thankful that he can be a leader out in our community and bring everybody together to help make our workplaces better. Last week, we did have an HVAC unit break down. There is a portion of our building that does not have heat right now. I did invoke the emergency clause in our purchasing policy to go ahead and begin getting that fixed without going through the proper bid process. I did contact our chair to let him know that I was going to be using that particular policy. So we're hoping that we can get this fixed by tomorrow. Because it is my office that doesn't have heat. As far as programming, multiple sheriff employees, Sheila and Stephanie from administration, they participated in the Shop with a Hero event last weekend. And I saw several pictures, several photos from that. Many firefighters, lieutenants. It was well attended by local police agencies. I did have an opportunity to work on closing out our delinquent audit. To my knowledge, we have submitted everything that we need to our audit firm. I was expecting to have a draft either by today or tomorrow. I have not heard from them. I'm going to assume that the holidays are probably messing up with that communication. In our next meeting, I will be requesting, even though it's an organizational meeting, I'm going to request that we go into a closed session to discuss a breakthrough that we've had in our last turbine depreciation table lawsuit. So there is an offer that is on the table. I would like to discuss that with you after I have many people that have been involved in this since the beginning review it and get their feedback. So this could finally close out a 12-year legal battle, which is very exciting for everybody in our community that has been a part of that. And lastly, I wanted to update you that we have transferred the airport funds from the city of Elma to the county of Gratiot last Friday on the 15th. So we did meet that deadline that we had set in this partnership for transferring control of the airport to the county. And we will address more of that once we get to the airport authority meeting portion of tonight. That is my update for the board. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
January 2nd is when we meet again.
Yep, that's our next.
Yes.
2 weeks.
Chris, do we need to ratify that contract also? Or dispatch? No.
No, the
That's their,
authority board.
we don't have that, do we?
We will come to you. The authority board will also be passing a budget amendment that will reflect the new salary structures, and then I will bring that to
Okay.
this board.
All right.
Did you say when you're going to arbitration for the?
We have not been given a date for
Yeah.
arbitration. That's correct.
Where was the arbitrator from, I guess, do you know?
Yeah.
Is it one that's been around a while or a new one?
I prefer to answer that in closed session.
Okay, no problem, all right.
Okay.
Hey, George, do you want to start off with the commissioner reports?
On the 11th, I went to two township board meetings, Hamilton and North Star. In Hamilton Township, they've got all of their numbers around for building their new hall. And they're working on the final draft of that, but it looks like it's going to come in at budget. Cross your fingers. So that looks good. North Star had a regular meeting. There was no big things on the agenda there. Tuesday morning, we had a COA meeting. End of the year things, and we just talked general stuff and got updated on all what they do, and which is a lot. They do a lot. And then Tuesday evening, I went to Lafayette and Wheeler Townships, and we discussed the lights that are going to be put at on Lincoln Road at Berry and Wisner. Road Commission asked that they could participate. And I went and talked to 3 of the township supervisors, and they all agreed. And so that's been taken care of. And they got the markers out there for the electrical stuff. So there'll be, I would say, either not working on it this week, they're going to be working on it, whatever, but they're getting ready to roll on that. And so that is good. Breckenridge, because Christmas is Breckenridge's normal meeting on the 25th, well, it'll have been the 4th Monday. They had it on Monday, the 11th. So I just couldn't squeeze it in. I was going too many places. I had to miss that this month. We also had an airport advisory committee meeting, which we'll talk about at length in our airport meeting. That's it.
I want to ask you, these are flashing lights that you're talking about?
Yes, it'll be on Berry and Wisner, the flashing yellow. And on Lincoln, it'll be the flashing red. Yeah.
Tim?
I really didn't do anything.
Okay,
Hopefully next time.
okay. Steve?
After Angie got me the list and we got it all sorted out there was some meeting times and stuff that had changed from what I was originally given, but we got it all sorted out. I ended up the day that you and I went up to the hydro dam, I missed and that was before the last meeting. I missed the Parrington meeting because of that. But anyhow, on the 11th, I went to the Newark Township meeting. Newark Township, I did my intro of who I was. Township Hall updates. If you haven't been out there, it's really looking very nice. They've done some really nice. They kept the integrity of an old building inside, which is really cool, but the outside of it is very updated, looks very nice. They had a representative from Aristoco there who are the ones that constructed their wind farm. And they just they're wrapping things up right now. They're still in the area, but they're wrapping things up, and they were just kind of closing out what's going on with Aristoco before it gets turned over to consumers. So New Haven was canceled that night due to illness. They couldn't put together a quorum. The 12th, I went to Elba Township. Elba is in the process of working out a deal to purchase more land to expand their cemetery. They need more room for their cemetery. They've struck a deal, or they're working on, I shouldn't say struck a deal, they're working on a deal right now, which will include the acquisition of a building, which is something they need out there because they have nothing to put like lawn tractors and that sort of thing in. So they're actually working on that. I think they're anxiously awaiting to see how another township fares tonight, to see if there's going to be any possible. They didn't get any of the ARP money for the township, so I think they're looking to see if there's going to possibly be any funds that are left over. I mentioned it to Chris in one of our conversations that they were interested in that. So I think their intent is to try and use it for this acquisition for the township would be to expand the township cemetery and acquire that building. Right at the same time as the Village of Ashley planning meeting. By the time I got out of the township meeting and was walking across the street, everybody came out of the building. So I missed that. Let's see. The 13th, I went up to the Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec unfortunately had someone decide they needed their hydraulic dump trailer worse than the Parks and Recreation Department on Thanksgiving, and they stole it. I know you were working with the insurance company. on what, if anything, was gonna be able to be done with that. To my knowledge, I talked to one of the detectives. It's not been located yet, so those are very difficult. We got really lucky one other time with one of them being parked at a local gas station and we found it, but a lot of times those kind of disappear into the wind and they aren't normally kept right here local, so that they have voted on what they want to replace it with. I was in total agreement with them. We had some discussion on whether any of them were built within the county. They are not built within the county, those hydraulic dump trailers, so they had picked one that they felt was the best, and I felt with the style of lift and what I know about those, I thought that was a good replacement as well. Unfortunately, I had the highest price, but not by much. It was very small amount. They talked at length about the fact that we voted down the repaving, or not repaving, the paving of the road that goes to the east down to the other beach and boat launch that also has some. And they're gonna try and regroup and kind of rethink that project and see what they can come up with to try and because there's some handicap accessibility issues is what they were trying to accomplish in the 5-year plan on that. Then I went to the Ashley Village meeting, which was Thursday. A lot of the people there were talking about the trains that were coming in for the Ashley, for the country Christmas there, coming in with the Steam Institute. It was the last trains this past weekend. I think they were all relieved that the last trains were coming, but all very thankful that they have that. And they've certainly, if you haven't been to Ashley for that, it has, I would say, exploded from what it started as to what it is now. It's really quite something. So if you haven't, next year they're going to have it again. I would highly recommend, you got to, if you want to buy a ticket, you got to be on the line and get them quick, or you don't get them. They sell out in minutes. But you can always go into town and there's a ton of people that drive into town because it's difficult to find a parking spot. But I know Angie's there a lot, Jan's there a lot. I'm there at least one of the trains every weekend to work on the cleanup afterwards. So it's quite a project for the city, but it's really a really neat project for the town too. And then just last night I went to North Shade. Their business meeting discussions was in reference to Invenergy is signing off to consumers. There's a timeline they're trying to meet to have Invenergy sign off from the time or from the wind turbines that are in their township and convert them to consumers. And they're working through that process right now. And other than that, they are on building updates. They are putting an addition that was the one township hall in the county that didn't have indoor plumbing. And it will now have indoor plumbing. So we're joining several centuries, I guess, that we didn't have indoor plumbing. We're going to finally have it. So they're pretty proud of that. But it's a really awesome addition that they're putting on. I had a chance to look at it. And once again, they kept the integrity of the old building. It'll have new windows and new siding on it, but the addition that's what they're using their ARPA funds for. And it's really a nice addition. It's going to make a huge difference in that hall, meeting space, office space, storage space. Indoor plumbing will be a wonderful thing. So there's not a porta john outside. They're even going to have a sink when they want to have a cup of coffee. They don't have to.
How was that? Didn't have indoor.
That is North Shade, over next to Carson City. So corner of Roosevelt and Warner Road. Yeah, but it's the one and only that didn't have indoor plumbing in it still. I think they told me the building dates back to like 1857 or something like that. There was a lady there that had a lot of the history of it came about right after Gratiot County got that land because it originally was part of Clinton County. And when it became part of Gratiot County, that building was erected shortly thereafter. So that was an interesting historical fact about that. But that completes my townships and villages.
Kind of glad I have 2 townships instead of 6.
Yeah.
Jan?
Yes, I visited Bethany Township. I was at their meeting last month. They had changed the meeting because of something that had come out. Oh, I know what it was, deer season. And so I missed it last month, but this month it was real interesting to be there. I also was at the Christmas party here in Ithaca. That was fun, and I was glad I was there. Also, on the same day, I had a meeting with GIS from the state, and I also had her name is Ladine, and she is the head of the conservation district. And I had her attend the meeting also. And I think that probably, I'm trying to think of his name, in our equalizer, what is his name? Keegan, yes. I should let him know when the next meetings are or when they are. He should be attending these also. What they are discussing that the state of Michigan flies over every 5 years, and they're going to go to every 4 years. And one of the things that they had talked about was having the county maybe instead of going every 5 years, do the 4 years. There were several people there that talked about how much, well, several townships were there. And they talked about how often they use the flat book, which is sometimes every day. And they look up multiple things that they have to know. Realtors use it, your townships use it, and the farmers use it. And it was kind of nice. There was 2 townships there, and I cannot tell you the other gal is right offhand. I know her, but I can't think of her name. But she said that it's kind of like they use it every day, and it's very important. It determines the cost of many different things that go on, such as in the real estate part of it, or just getting permits. And so anyway, one of the things, they're going to have another meeting in a couple of months, and they'll probably talk about this in the township meeting also. But I think it is a good idea to be able to, if they went over every 4 years, and that would be a little easier than every 5 years, where you're missing, there's 5 years in there. There's a lot of changes, a lot of people switching properties or dividing properties up, and that's some of the things that they need to know. Any kind of a cell or any kind of plumbing, or not plumbing, but drains and stuff like that. So I've always been interested in it. It's real interesting to see some of the stuff that they do. And I told them that I would let Keegan know. And so the next time I find out that we're going to have a meeting, I will let him know. And then Ladine, she will automatically now be notified. And any of the other commissioners that want to go to this, you really should. I'll try to let all of us know, or Chris know, so he can let you get you a text where you can go to it if you'd like. Especially those who are working with townships out in the country. This is something that all of them are using. And, maybe you could keep them kind of up to date of what's going on and the support behind it. And it's kind of like, this was something new that was brought up. And so they're just on the ground floor right now, but I'm sure they're going to be talking more and more about it in the future here, probably in 2024.
It's a cost thing, Phil.
Well,
Right, it costs about $120,000 to do those flyovers and to update it, so.
well, when they talked about it the other night, they said that there was I think a difference of $4,000 difference by doing it every 4 years. I guess you'd have to pay for it every 4 years instead of every 5 years. But if you're like, I got to tell you, there was, the conservation and the township, and I think there were 2 other townships there. I didn't really get their name. They don't introduce like we do here at our meetings, but there were several there that needed the information. And the other thing is, I thought the state goes over every 5 years. That's really a long time. If you're trying to do farming, or if you're a liquor and you need to know the different parts of the drain, different things that people want to know about buying a house.
So the information is updated as it changes hands. So when you hover over a parcel and it's sold, it will show up but the photography is what's done every 5 years.
Yeah. One of the things I think it'd be a good idea if you also came to it, Chris.
Yeah, I was supposed to be at that meeting.
You were,
I was.
okay. It seems like you were though. What time I went? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, they're gonna have another meeting right at the first of the year, yeah.
Mhm.
And then, I'll let you know, or when you want to
I'll
do
get, yep, I'll get the email. I'll bring the financial information to that
it.
meeting.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea. I mean, we can all, commissioners can all go to it, just sit separately. But, there was a lot of conversation and, it's so far everybody there. In fact, I even said that I think it was a good idea. I buy a flat book every time they come out. And, just because it's easy to get around in my district and a lot of people in my district have questions sometimes, and I just let them use my flat book.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I went to the Greater Gratiot, had a pretty nice breakfast at the Opera House. And it's been a long time since I've been in there.
Where's
That's
the opera house
pretty
at?
cool. In downtown Alma.
Oh, okay, yes, okay,
I think it's above the Block House.
yeah,
Okay.
I know where it's at now.
Does Elma College have those buildings?
Church says yes. I went to Seville Township. They're still working on the plans for new hall. Went to the Alma meeting, and boy, they got a lot of stuff going on with the streets that they have to repave and do all of the sewer hookups. And I'm kind of excited. Tomorrow would be my first day of delivering Meals on Wheels on September.
Awesome. Good. Good for you.
I still can't lift the totes full of meals, but they seem to be willing to do that. So
That's good. Glad you get back to work.
okay, now we go on to new business. ARPA funds for Washington Township.
May I introduce myself first, Howard Whaley, Supervisor for Washington Township. I see some new faces here and some that have been here in the past. I understand that y'all have a packet in front of you that Washington Township submitted. I have a very short letter here. I'd kind of like to skim through it real briefly for you. Dear Gratiot County Commissioners, thank you for the potential opportunity to receive 80K of the county ARPA funds for our project. Attached, you will find initial blueprints and a rough estimate of our intended project. Previously, Washington Township had requested near 40,000 for foundation repair, electrical upgrades, and flooring to the existing building. Due to the fact that funds were not available, the township paid for only the needed repairs. Our existing township hall is original to the township, small, but we have made it work. The board and township residents, after a public meeting that we held, have decided to look at an addition to the township hall. This would allow the township to keep the integrity of the historic township building while allowing for offices, larger meeting area for the residents to use and to address safety concerns. In regards to offices, currently our clerk is using a coat closet and our treasurer has a desk in the kitchen. We do have indoor plumbing. All of our board members are trying to hold office hours in an effort to make themselves or ourselves more available to the public. Since we don't have designated office space, each official is carrying the needed documents back and forth from our place of residence, our homes. In regards to the meeting area, we're doing more rentals of the hall for events. Ashley Area Fire Authority recently used our hall to do a 3-day training. We would like to increase our building capacity so it's able to accommodate larger family events such as showers, funeral dinners, open houses, etc. And our current capacity is only 49. Second page. In regards to the safety, in addition, would include hardwired smoke detectors, lock security of township and cemetery records, also have a separate locked room for our election equipment as required by law. Washington Township has $87,171 in ARPA funds that we plan to use for this project. Therefore, we would be able to match the 80K from the county. Thank you for your consideration in granting us these funds as if you so decide for our project to better serve the Washington Township residents. In addition, there's a basic drawing in your packet of the addition that we are proposing. Again, back, I think it's been a year ago when we initially requested funds and they were unavailable, we went ahead and did the foundation repairs, which were original to the building, and initial electrical upgrades to the building. Those were things that needed to be done immediately from a safety standpoint. One corner of the township hall was raised almost 6 inches with that new foundation. So as a Washington Township resident and representing the residents as their supervisor, I am officially requesting from the county if they will allow Washington Township to have 80K in ARPA funds for this project. And if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Yes,
How
sir.
old is the bill? Do you know what year that kind of came about? I'm sure it's 18 something.
1858.
We're in there.
We have a picture. It's on the it was a brick and not even a brick. It was a fieldstone and mortar foundation.
Okay.
It was back in 1800s. I do know that.
Just the work you did to it. I mean, I've been by there several times. The work that has been done, you can obviously tell with the new foundation, it shored up that building.
Sure.
I mean,
And I mean, we have received a lot of compliments.
Yeah.
And it just looks straighter.
yeah, it does. It looks like it's gonna last now.
We don't have
Kind of-
garments underneath it and all kinds of things. You know, we're doing some volunteer work on a parking lot for it.
Mhm.
But we've got a lot of things that we'd like to do to provide for the residents. 49 people with tables and chairs in that building. And I know that there are township halls that are even much smaller.
Mhm.
Hamilton comes to mind. I don't know about North Shade.
Mhm.
I haven't been over there. But it doesn't take much time to have a full house. So, I was very excited to, receive this information and I hope that you will look upon it favorably.
Well, I guess I have a question to,
Yeah, I could give a quick
yeah, I think that would be
come from.
the thing I was most concerned with is
Mhm.
where is the money coming from? Because, you know, there was ARPA funds and then they shut them down prior to me being on the board, but from what I understand, that have changed some, so.
We were awarded $7.9 million in 2021. Of that, this board appropriated just over $2.5 million to the county, the road commission, the health department, airport, which I would consider the county blanket. Okay, so of that 2.5 million that we're going to use in-house, we've spent 1.7. And in those projects that we appropriated for last fiscal year, we came under budget more than enough to cover this project.
So we were able to complete the projects we wanted to complete
Yes,
and still have these funds and then some.
correct.
Howard came right at the very end
I
of
was here, I remember.
project. Or, yeah, and, you know, I felt so bad when they came because the bucket at that time was empty.
Mhm.
And I do remember the commission saying that if we could add anything at the end, we would make sure that Washington Township got a portion of that.
Mhm.
Well, it's time.
Yep.
And I feel that we told him that and we should stick to our word. And so that's why he's here. And I would make a motion that we would go ahead and allow that to happen.
I'll support it then, because I was gonna make it. They're my township.
Motion by George, support by Steve to approve the additional funds from ARPA for Washington Township. All those in favor? Do we need to
Should have a roll call.
have a roll call?
Yeah.
Birch?
Yes.
Tim? Yeah, okay.
Let her-
Commissioner Bailey,
Clerk, yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes.
Commissioner Sapsy,
Yes,
Commissioner Owens.
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. And when we have a open house, we'll make sure that we, thank you, sir.
Yes.
I don't know if it's appropriate that I come around and shake your hand or not, but I'm gonna do so.
I'm glad to do it.
Thank you. I don't know how many of my folks here are gonna leave me, with me, but we're gonna bring up some seats.
Okay, Great Lakes Bay, Michigan Works.
Yeah, but I don't know if you were given our materials in advance, so I want to make sure that
Yep,
you
I think we all got them in our pack.
have it.
Yep,
Okay. Right, also with me are Eric Rodriguez, our Workforce Development Board Chair, and Ray Ogden, our Chief Administrative Officer. We're here to request, I'm going to take you briefly through this presentation, give you an opportunity to ask questions, but ultimately we're here to request you support our request to this body as part of our 5-county interlocal agreement to change fiscal agents for Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works effective October 1 of 2024. So if we go to, I'm going to take you briefly through a fiscal analysis that looks at how expenses have increased over the last 11 years, our current expenses, the impact on staffing levels and operations, a cost comparison of retiree healthcare or retiree pension, and healthcare, what the impact changing fiscal agents will have on our organization, and ultimately to request your support. So if you go to slide 4, which gives you the spreadsheet, it's the, I have it in larger format here if it would be easier for you to look at. Thank you. This represents the costs that we have incurred over the last 12 years, using 2012 as a baseline of how our legacy costs as a percentage of our total budget have increased. For 2023, they are 36% higher than 2012 numbers. The dollar amount has almost doubled, while we've been forced to eliminate 3.7 full-time employees since 2012. I want to emphasize that the methodology that's used by our current fiscal agent is allowable. It's just no longer affordable for our organization. So if you go on to, I don't want to rush you, but if you go on to the next slide, slide 5, expense increase over the last 11 years. This chart compares total legacy costs as a percentage of our approved administration budget. You can see the creep of how much of our budget is dedicated to legacy costs. This year, I want to say it's 30%. Yeah. Moving on to slide 6, the expense increase over the last 11 years. This slide shows the categories that make up legacy cost and their percentage of total administration budget. The largest share are pension and indirect costs or indirect charges assessed to Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works by Saginaw County. We expect, based on conversations with the Isabella County Administrator, the pension costs will be significantly reduced. Indirect charges for Isabella County services to Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works are expected to be comparable. So if we can look at slide 7, what's important to take away from this slide is the top line. Our expenses per full-time employee assessed by Saginaw County have increased over the base year of 2012 over 250%, while the total legacy costs have increased 198%. These are legacy cost onlys and are not representative of salary of any of the Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works staff. The cost of doing business with Saginaw County is just no longer affordable or sustainable for our organization. So if we move on to the next slide, this slide represents current fiscal year charges assessed by Saginaw County. The 30% cost is a slight decrease from the previous year. due to the elimination of 2.75 full-time employees, an action we were forced to take due to our limited funding sources. So moving on to slide 9, as of late, in program year 2021, Great Lakes Bay Michigan's work staff included 13.75 full-time employees. Current staffing level on paper is 11, with 2 positions vacant. It's important to note that even with the reduction of full-time employees, the Saginaw County charges continue to climb. For the program year of 21, Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works operated 28 funded programs. For the program year that ended this past September, Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works operated 34 funded programs, of which many are funded by more than one funding source, which increases our level of oversight. For the same period, Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works operates 5 Michigan Works one-stop centers, its own 5-county data network, fiscal and program compliance, marketing and outreach, and board support. The impact on staff of lower staffing levels matched with a greater workload is employee burnout, greater use of personal time, and overall lowering of morale. If this continues, we're going to bleed experienced expert staff. So if we go on to the next slide, please. This indirect costs, which are the costs for doing business, the cost between Saginaw County and Isabel County are comparable. Where the savings will be realized is in how pension and healthcare charges are assessed. Saginaw County charges a percentage of all pension and retiree healthcare costs across all county departments. Isabella County charges retiree costs per retiree by department. So rather than being assessed for all retirees from the county to every department, the percentage of what we would pay is significantly reduced with this change. The savings realized as a result of changing fiscal agents would be realized in how those charges are calculated. If we go to the next slide, what this would allow us to do is align staffing levels with operational need, resulting in increased programs and services across all 5 counties. So what we're here today to request is your support of a fiscal agent change effective October 1 of 2024, which coincides with our fiscal years. And I'm happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
So basically, you're trying to stop using Saginaw County and go to Isabella County.
Correct.
Their accounting services for what you're to cover your pension, medical, all that.
Correct. They will be as required by our interlocal agreement. One of the 5 counties has to be with our fiscal agent. We're asking for this change as a cost savings measure.
And this isn't going to change anything for your retirees as far as their benefits that they're receiving or anything. It's going to stay the same for them.
They use the same retirement system.
Mhm.
We will just transfer over to Isabel County.
I'd like to add too that I'm on that board. I'm on this board,
Mhm.
and this is something that we've been working towards for
Mhm. some
some time. And it is a great move for all of us. It's a great, first of all, we're gonna see more, that's what I'm looking for, more services in our communities where the money should be going and not into retirement on something that's just because we were with Saginaw, we were paying retirement on people that really didn't have anything to do with Michigan Works. So this is a great move, a move that we've been working towards for some time.
And then, is this correct? 383,000, is that much extra it's gonna save you that you'll be able to put into other?
Based on this year's,
Yeah, this year's, I mean, it might be slightly different for 24.
Right.
But that's the goal is to
Significant.
save that kind of money yearly, so we can put that into other programs. Hopefully we get your, at least the 2 that you have open positions back, so that you're not burdening your staff.
Right.
Okay.
What programs do you fund?
we operate workforce development programs across all 5 counties. We're federally funded.
You help people. get
We help
opportunities.
we help prepare people for work, and we help employers source qualified talent.
Very important.
Yeah, Eric.
Good evening, Commissioners. Eric Rodriguez. My day job with the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan. I'm the interim public relations director. I serve as the workforce development chair for Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works. And first and foremost, I want to applaud the efforts of both Kristen Ray and the Michigan Works team. As you just mentioned, Commissioner Gay, the work that they do is paramount to the workforce retention, recruiting, trying to get more business to our region. All of that is important, and the resources that are available here are really what we're seeking. Again, we want to make sure that we're very clear here in that the ask here tonight is to allow those resources to go to those job seekers and to those employers. In excess of close to $400,000 in estimation is a lot of money to be able to help those service areas. So for us, knowing that their staff has picked up a load, being down 3 employees or more at times, making sure that they continue to increase programming in our region. For me, I support this as a representative of Isabella County as well. And being alongside these guys with the presentations we've given to other counties, Commissioner Embry was unable to join us tonight, but knowing that his support and Isabella County support for us to move them, knowing that it makes sense to not only Isabella County, but also the other 4 counties that are in this agreement. So for us, we do ask for that. And for us, I do want to make sure that it's very clear that this will benefit all of our constituents here in the Great Lakes Bay region. Thank you.
And so you do need a motion tonight that we will stay with you, or?
No, that we will approve that, we will approve the moving.
That you support the request to change fiscal agents.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'll make the motion. That
Support it.
we- Okay, you support it, thank you.
It would have a motion from Jan, seconded by George, to support the change for the Great Lakes Michigan Bay Works. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
And I want to tell you that, thank you for the great job and the hard hours and the hard work it was to put this together.
Thanks for your support.
I've been really concerned for some time, so I'm really, really happy that we're at this point now.
We're on to Parks and Recreation dump trailer. Pete?
Good evening, Pete Little, Parks and Rec Director. As Steve mentioned earlier in his report, unfortunately, one of our dump trailers was stolen from right out front of our yard at our maintenance shop there at Reed Park, right out in the open under lights on Thanksgiving morning. It was an older piece of equipment. We're looking to replace it anyways, but nonetheless, quite unfortunate that it was stolen from us. Chris has been helping me out with an insurance claim on that, so hopefully we'll get something on insurance. But nonetheless, we put together 3 quotes that you have in your packet for a new dump trailer. And based on our research, we recommend the load and trail trailer. It seems like it's the best quality of the 3. And we went and looked at all 3 of them. The price is $12,200. And that's compared to the others at $12,092. And then the $12,360. So they're all within a few $100s. So I'm just looking for your approval to make this purchase. And we do have funds in our capital equipment fund, and this was supported by the Parks and Recreation Commission at their last meeting on the 13th. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Now that you're going to get this, if we vote to get this trailer, how are you going to secure that?
I knew that question was coming, George. Yeah, so we've already invested in additional lighting so that we have some more lights. We've bought some trailer hitches.
You got some log chains on that thing so they can't move it?
This piece of equipment will be indoors.
Okay.
Yeah, we've actually done some reorganization so that we can have new equipment
Good.
indoors, and we will keep it safe, George.
So how did they steal it? They like,
It just must have backed right up in there and
To it.
hooked it up and drove away.
kidding.
In the 14 years I've been here, that's never happened to me before, but it was Thanksgiving morning. I kind of felt like they knew that we weren't going to be around.
Yeah.
You know, that's just felt like
It's called drug money.
intentional. So,
They do stay around long. Got
Some
so quick.
compensation from the insurance company.
Yeah.
I'm certain that they will take that older trailer. We provided them with the original invoice, but I'm sure they will depreciate it
Yeah.
down, and
I'll give you something for it.
those funds will be then redeposited back into Parks and Rec.
no.
And like I said in my meeting, this is the one you guys wanted, lift system. I agreed. I think it's, a better lift system, that, And I think if that's what you guys want, you're the ones gonna be using it.
Right.
You have a means now to secure it. I mean, because I think it'll be a hotter ticket than the old one.
Yeah, right,
Was
absolutely.
sitting out there. So,
Right, absolutely.
and unfortunately, you can only do so much. I mean, with the trailer hitch, locks that you were gonna put on, and I mean, people who are bound and determined to take stuff, sheriff can attest to is, they're gonna take it if they want it, so. I so move that we, allow the Parks and Recreation Committee to buy the trailer that they, have selected, the load and trail, correct?
Yes.
To replace the one that was stolen on Thanksgiving.
I'll second it.
Total cost of,
12,200, right?
12,200.
gotta be in the.
12,200, sorry.
That's all right.
Yep.
A motion by Steve, supported by Jan, to buy a new dump trailer that the Parks and Recreations want. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
County farm bids is the next item.
So it was time to put the county farm lease up for bid, which we did. We advertised it. We received quite a bit more interest in it than asked. For the past 15 or 20 years or so, the Becker Family Farms had rented the county farm out. And this year, we received 6 bids, the highest bid being from Addison Dumont. $286.65 per acre. That is a 3-year lease with no manure clause in it because it is located right there at the edge of town. So if you have any questions about the bid, I am looking for the board to select a lessee.
How many acres we talking about?
Pardon?
How many acres?
It is,
81, right?
yep, it is.
You want?
I believe we advertised it at 83, but it is actually going to, the lease will be for 81.
81.
Does the person that bid on that understand that?
Addison's here. Do you understand it's 81 acres, not 83 tillable?
think it was actually advertised 87.
87.
87? Okay.
It's quite a bit different.
That map here's there's a couple portions, mice color, and then the industrial facility. So is that part of that? Or are there other agreements that I would have to, assuming you pass this, go and contact those?
You're talking about that piece that comes up behind Meisenhower Welding that's just grass or weeds growing right now, and then to the south of which industry is, I got Clover in my head and it's not Clover, it's the one across the street from it. That where the weeds just grow up there.
That portion cannot be farmed because of the federal contracts that they have. There's a security issue.
Okay.
Was it?
That is actually owned by them and it has to be a buffer. Nobody can be on that property.
So I was looking at the imaging and maybe it was just deceiving, but by the imaging, it looked like it was.
At one point in time, I do believe tractors crept onto that parcel and they were shoot off.
So you don't want to be shoot off again, is what.
I just want to make sure everybody understands the total acreage.
Yeah, I do too, because I was
Quite a bit different.
Yeah. Of one tillable area.
Look on
It was
GIS.
advertised as 87, but I saw in the.
Right.
Again, and then based on imaging.
Yeah.
Nice to have.
Yes,
Where the lines are that you can farm.
in front of me now, no, but yes.
Wants to know because the soil test people, if it gets approved, are gonna be in your soil testing.
You know, you don't want to waste your money.
Front,
I'll test.
Just if it freezes up, we gotta get it moving on.
Yep.
You'll take care of that then?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, I can
I so
tomorrow.
move that we approve the county farm lease bid to Addison Demott for 286.65 per acre. Cash crop, 3 years, 3-year lease.
Has that been the standard, Chris?
Yes, it has.
3 years, okay.
Anybody support it?
I'll
George.
support it. Second it.
Motion by Steve, seconded by Jan to grant a 3-year lease to the Demonts for 3 years for the airport property. All those in favor?
The county farm property out here by Ithaca, not the airport. This is the one right outside of town by 911, right?
Yes.
Okay, pardon me.
Space Center, yeah.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Congratulations. Yeah, sounds like tomorrow he can get you the exact boundaries so you know where to get your soil sample. So, thank you.
Okay, we have consideration for board appointments. Did everybody fill those out?
What's that?
Oh,
I put at the desk, Steve,
Yep, I got it.
so I thought that we could check and see if we have a majority by ballot for the positions. So if you start off with District 2, Commission on Aging, District 3, and if we have a majority and everybody agrees that that majority will get that seat, I think it might be easier because it's a little confusing. So if you pick what kind of board you want for Commission on Aging for District 2,
Okay, I thought we were gonna talk about them then,
if
Peg.
you want to talk about them, you
Okay.
talk about them.
I just personally, I was impressed with how many people, I mean, I didn't say this, but it was nice to have 6 people
It is
that
confusing.
that bid on the farmland. That's awesome. You know, we're getting interest in those things. This was really, I took this serious. I read these things multiple times, laid them out in different, because the way they were printed in here, you had to flip pages over but I laid them all out on my kitchen table so that I could put them together with what they were supposed to be. And then some people were in multiple things, so I got them all so that I could, you know, really read them and read what they put in there. Some people didn't fill the thing out properly at all, which to me speaks volumes. If you are applying for a position, you don't even write down what position you're putting in there for. That's difficult for me to just assume of where you're trying to be. But I think it was impressive that many people want to be involved in our county in these different commissions. That's to me, that's a really significant thing, that there's that many people that have an interest in being involved. You know, and some people put in for multiple commissions, some people put in for one. I think the cool part was when you laid them all out like that, the demographics. And we had people from Breckenridge Wheeler to Perrington, from Ashley to west of Elma. So the entire county was represented in some way, shape, or form by the people who applied for these positions. And that to me meant a lot, because that's spreading it out amongst everybody's got some interest in this county, and being a board, you know, I'm from District 4, but I represent the entire county, and the entire county in some way, shape, or form put in applications. So to me, I thought I wanted to make sure that was on record, that was really cool to see so much interest in some of these positions. So I can quickly go through and get you your list. Because I have, like I said, spent a lot of time going through this, so.
Yeah.
11 applications for COA.
Yeah.
It's 6 open seats. That's something that we had not seen. We'd go, George, how long? would we
Well,
go?
Commission on Aging especially, we would go months before we found anybody to fill one seat.
Right.
Sometimes we have 2 or 3 vacancies. So it's.
I mean, we still may have a tie that we'll have to
Okay.
have discussions. Yeah.
I agree with you, Steve. I've never seen this much participation since I've been on the board. Really, it's kind of nice to see.
Is that because of the new board members, you think, that are
Probably.
interested?
Mhm.
New board.
New chairman.
New chairman, that's what it is.
I think it is.
So it is the new chair. Kinder, gentler. Calm down, Dave. It's okay.
So the board has invoked the ballot option and Angie will.
Steve, yeah, Steve's still filling his out, I believe.
I gotta wait for Steve.
We got the word earlier, so we got to work on it. Of course, Steve came in later.
I think he was talking to somebody.
You think? That's okay.
I knew better than the park by the DeMotts over there. I would have been late because I'd have been over there talking to him. I seen him and was like, I better just get in there. I will be late for the meeting, but I wouldn't be late for the meeting, but oh well. So anyhow. We presenting these then to Angie?
Yep.
I'll pass that down there.
I'll take a few minutes here.
Tally our tallies.
Yeah.
Was very interesting to go through all
Well, it's interesting, the spectrum of people that actually wanted to serve on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's doctors and librarians and all sorts of.
One thing I would say, be nicer to see maybe some younger people, because a lot of them are, I would say middle-aged to older that are, which typically have more time because of kids and all that stuff, but
That's usually the biggest.
busy in life. I mean, I live that, I know what they're talking about, but it's also good to see some of them want to be,
Encourage young people.
Yeah.
Don't wait to come in, just come in,
yeah.
see the clerk.
Mhm.
And the clerk can guide them through of what to put down and things like that, so that when we do have another meeting, they don't have to think about it so much, it's already done.
I can tell you from all the meetings I was at, with the exception of the village of Ashley, most everybody that's at any of the township meetings are well senior to me. And I mean, I'm in my fifties.
Yeah.
They're well, I mean, there was people in their nineties that were at these meetings and so.
Yeah.
I didn't say this one, Addison. I just said that,
You
it was just,
Nine
was somebody
new 80s.
90 some years old last night at the meeting that was just, that's impressive that they're still there and
Probably think you're a kid.
it's, yeah.
There's a fellow,
Be their grandkid.
there's a
And
comment.
they still wanted to, comment on how nice the sides looked and stuff, because the road commission has done some more trimming with the weather being as good as it was and so that was neat.
Probably thought you were too young. If he's 90,
Yeah.
because he'd have a son and be,
Oh, yeah. He could,
70s.
oh, yeah. Yeah. I could easily be his
yeah.
easily be his grandchild. So,
No, I think it's good. I see a lot of change in this county that's all good,
mhm.
all good. Yeah.
I think it's because the new administrator. I think it's because the new
You
administrator.
know what? I gotta give kudos to the administrator and his team. The assistant administrator on down, they are very professional and they've done a great job. The staff is just wonderful here.
George, I thought we had a rule going here that was all because of Dave and his new.
Back where it belongs.
Yeah.
Make sure you get interviewed by the newspaper for this, okay?
He's-
Right here before Christmas. You'll be in the Christmas edition with a quote.
Rosemary, if you're listening, call Dave.
Rosemary does call me.
Well, you're the chairman.
Get your picture in the paper.
Yeah, get your picture in the paper, Dave.
That's what you get paid the big bucks for.
God,
We could have been the paper with us.
Okay, so it looks like the majority for District 2 is Yvette Clark. The majority for District 3. Where did I write that? Hall Showers. Then for Commission on Aging, Sally Stahl, Nancy Gott, Dale Landon
Lincolnfield.
Hill.
Lincolnfield, yeah.
And then, the in the raw,
Oh.
Indira?
yes.
Saxena.
For members at large. And then,
Which Saxena? Indria, you said?
yeah,
Okay, all right.
and then Parks and Recs, we've got Smith and Childers. And then we do have a tie for zoning appeals.
Yeah.
MERS Vanderploeg is one member, but then who's Lisa Christensen and Yvette Clark were tied. So that's the only one, if you're fine by majority vote, those people that so Yvette Clark will be District 2, Paul Showers District 3, and then those other 4 that I said for or members at large. Parks and Recs, if you're okay with Smith and Carla.
Yeah.
And then you need to make a decision about the second seat as far as Lisa Christensen or Yvette Clark.
They got a coin, that's what they do in elections, when you flip a coin.
I've got one.
I'm serious.
Just one time.
And then Nancy on the, obviously on the
Last one,
last one,
because there was no.
because she was the only one, yeah. Who wants to flip a coin? I'll get you a coin.
Oh,
A coin, if that's how you want to do
So, make
it.
it,
No fair way.
to make it nonpartisan or not hearing, I'm gonna ask
So it's not
if the
on
chairman will request
that is.
Chris to call the head, call the caller.
Oh, you know what?
I'd rather not.
We're not, no, I don't, I'll call it.
You know
I don't
what,
care.
The way I feel about it is if are both these girls on something already or just one? Yvette's on something already, right?
Yvette was on the
On aging.
Commission on Aging.
Okay.
This was the first I've had Lisa is
I would
not-
like to go with Lisa because I'd like to see more people on the board.
Well, I don't have a problem with that either.
And I would support that as well, because I think it's good to have
A lot.
more people involved in these things than.
I just thought she was on
A
something.
motion that we have Lisa, what's her last name?
Christensen.
Christensen, on Commission on Aging.
No, zoning.
I'm sorry, zoning.
And you support that, Steve?
Yeah, I'll support that.
And I will list everybody else as majority.
Okay. Yeah,
That way everybody gets a
yeah,
chance.
I agree with you. I just thought
Got to
that
vote on it, so
something else.
we got to vote on that.
We have a motion to select Lisa Christensen for one of the vacancies on the Board of Appeals. All
Zoning board.
zoning board.
Zoning, yep.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Was nay? Lisa it is.
That could have been a long, complicated Angie figured it out.
Yeah, thank you, Angie.
Yeah, thank you, Angie. See all these pieces of paper, I had notes and drawing lines from here and there and everywhere and
Oh, it's great.
trying to make sure I had the whole county covered and
Sandy is still on there, right?
Well,
people from all the corners.
this was pretty in-depth meeting.
But Showers got a, actually simply got here.
Next time, Angie, don't put them on both sides of the paper.
Okay.
That's a thing. Because of when you're trying to lay them out, I know you were conserving paper, I appreciate it. But it was like, you'd lay down one and then somebody else's letter was on the back that went, and it was like, I was fumbling through the pages with the page numbers and I was like, there's gotta be a better system. Finally, my wife got involved, just made more copies.
Well, there, yeah. That was it. That was it.
It may have been probably the tone of my grumbles that she was like, there's gotta be a better way.
You just put by majority vote.
You made her feel part of your.
All right.
She got the big copies.
Very good.
You should have had her read it.
Okay.
Here, that's wrapped up. Consideration of unfinished business. Do we have any? No?
I'd make a motion that we suspend the regular meeting to go into finance.
Or
Motion by George, supported by Tim to go into finance.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried in the finance.
All right.
This was the first, right?
Morning.
Can you be up there and over there?
I can share stuff.
You're on your computer.
Mhm.
What's going on?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we received our first drain prepayment request from drain commissioner. It's going to be approximately $40,000. We do have $150,000 budgeted for that this year. So I did go ahead and process those payments since it was already a budgeted expense. I just want to keep you updated as we continue to use that methodology to keep our liabilities lower. As far as ARP funds that have been drawn in the month of November, the city of Elma drew down their last $274,000 of ARPA funds. They have now completed their draws and their projects that they came to the board for. I updated you on the audit prior in the administrator's report. A quick update on our MERS OPEB balance. Our OPEB is up 8.3% on the calendar year. We're sitting at $2.244 million. With our investment was $2.1 million. The S&P was up 23.1% on the calendar year. Pretty insane year, and I'm quite certain it's up quite a bit more since I wrote this last week due to the hints that interest rates are going to be coming down 4 different times.
Market went up, just
Yeah.
quite a bit here in the last.
Yeah.
better than ever.
Yeah.
Run through our cash balances with you quick. What you will see is the general fund is up approximately $1 million in November. That is related to tax collections. So
And the taxes.
you'll probably, the trend is November will be the last uptick in what we'll see typically in our general fund from our general operating tax collections.
People have the February 29th.
That is for the winter taxes. What we are still collecting right now is summer taxes. People are paying their summer taxes late. But the winter taxes, we don't see in the general fund. The winter taxes are other millages such as Parks and Rec, COA, the sheriff,
Schools.
libraries. So I don't report those cash balances to you. You can see that in the expenditure revenue report. COVID recovery fund reflects the payments that have been made. Our delinquent tax fund has picked up due just payments that have been made in there. So I'll give you a moment to ask any questions about that and also to review the check register for the month and ask any questions you have on that. I want to thank Commissioner Sopsey for calling me ahead of time and going over some of these bills that he has questions on.
What is this? It's, right here. Yeah, it's $321,996.
That's the Village of Ashley. Jenkins is the one below. The Village of Ashley, that was a ARP fund.
Okay,
Payment.
Project payment.
yeah, it was looking nice out there too with the new store going up.
Mhm.
Very nice. Sorry, I just down one.
All right. Well, if you would like me to organize this based on, sort it by dollar amount so that you got the top dollar amounts at the top of the report, I can do that. I just remember
No,
our former commissioners wanted.
No, this is fine.
Okay.
Actually, I'm getting so I know most of these anyway. Once in a while you slip one in. When I'm not looking.
Did you want me to bring those up so people know which ones I had asked you about, or?
It's completely up to you.
I mean, like, some of them were like Pennington, farm drainage. It was a new one that we hadn't used them before. So I'll let you explain it.
I believe it was drain number 40, wasn't it?
Yep.
Is, they worked on drain 40 this year for the drain commissioner.
That was one that caught me. It was just, wasn't one I recognized, and it was a new contractor working on a new, or a drain for the drain commissioners.
I have a question. I see we give money to the state police. That because they were here to help us or something. Michigan State Police.
Well, some of the fines and fees that we collect through district court by law, portions of them will go back to the state police. Yes, sometimes we do.
I sent. Okay, we're just giving back money that we collect.
Yep.
No, see the state police, we just pay the state police.
They come in and visit.
Doesn't sound right.
That sounds like state of Michigan, doesn't it?
Hey, here's some paper.
Well,
I'll give this back to.
It's all like blanks.
Give that up to Andrew. It's
yeah,
computer paper.
Can we give the blanks back to her?
so
Yeah.
I'll open up questions and review for the November
It's all got numbers on it.
30
That's okay.
You have that, Sue?
Yeah, they all did.
revenue and expenditure report.
And if you go through this report, it's nice because it's at the end of each line is the percent of the budget that's been spent. And that's a nice way to look at things. Making sure that we're basically online. And I think I said this before, if you've got something that's way over, it's usually because you paid it up front. So is there any questions on the revenue and expenditure report before we move on? Okay. Investments. Barry.
First, I'd like to comment on Commissioner Sopsy's report. Consumers has submitted their decommissioning bond to us also. They said it wasn't gonna really, the transaction or the transfer wasn't really gonna take effect until the end of the year, but they wanted to get it to us early. So they've already submitted that and I have it in my office.
Okay, good.
Okay,
That's what they were talking about at the meeting there was something with the end of the year, and they were trying to get everything done, and
but they.
The one company had a decommissioning and they've stopped that one and transferred it over to.
transferring it to consumers.
Customer's energy.
Yep, and I do
That's
have,
the hiccup. They were, it's the one thing had to stop, and another thing started.
That's when the lawyers get involved and get paid.
yep. So my office we have begun or entered into winter tax collection. That has started. Pretty soon, before you know it, it will be property tax settlement time. That's where we are right now. That's what we've got going on. I've submitted my normal reports that I always do and they are in your packet, I'm sure. Does anybody have any questions?
The interest is staying right.
Yep, it sure is. It just varies a little depending on the days of the month, how many days are in the month, but it's holding. It has not changed since last.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
And they got at the end is all the bank transfers that she's made, which are
Lots.
normal course of business between courts and mostly courts.
It's mostly
Mhm.
court after we changed their process.
Yeah. There's anything else you want to discuss?
And at this time,
Okay. Then I would make a motion that we would suspend the finance committee and go into the airport.
Report.
Moved by George, supported by Tim to go out of the finance committee and go into the airport. All in favor?
I,
so we have a couple action items in the airport authority meeting that we'll be going over. But first off, we did hold our first advisory committee meeting. The minutes are in the packet here. George, is there anything in particular that you want to pull out from
Well,
the
there's
advisory meeting to discuss?
Yeah, let me get up to speed here.
Mhm.
If you go to the minutes of the meeting, we discussed at length a lot of different things that we should be doing and need to be doing. For instance, let me find it here. We looked at runways and lights and things like that, what we could do for in the future. And we looked at getting a mechanic on site. And we got to start looking at those issues. And we were looking at other options to do, and then we were talking about making things better around the airport grounds and things like that. And one of the things that we really need to get going on is that we need to choose an engineer of record for the airport. And so one of the things that requires us to even go on and do a lot of different things is that we must have an engineer do it. FAA required, if you're going to do something, you need to have it engineered. And so that's our new life now.
They probably have to be approved by the state.
Yeah, well, this engineering firm will be approved. There's only so many, and I can't speak to how many, there's not very many engineering firms around the state. But so I would, in fact, might as well do it. I would make a motion that we allow the administration to go ahead and start seeking requests for proposals be sent out for an airport engineer. So I make a motion.
Oh, go ahead.
Moved by George, supported by Steve, for the administration to go ahead and look for or take bids for a new engineer for the airport.
Right.
All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Then we're looking at different other projects. You'll see in there that we need tree trimming done. Dennis, you want to speak to the glide paths and why we have to have trees taken out, things like that?
Dennis McDonald, at the County Airport. Yeah,
there's two requirements when it comes to an airport. One is a state license, and then there's another Part 77 license through the government. Our airport is approved for a state license, but we do have trees that are at the ends of a couple runways that have approaches, GPS approaches and stuff, and the trees are a little too high in two of the runways. So the actual trees are not on the airport. We've cleared the trees on the airport, but they are on private property that the airport does have easements to clear the trees. So we just have to send out letters to them and inform the landowners and work through that process. So
That's it.
yeah.
Okay.
Question on that. Obviously, these landowners know that because of the easement. Do you ever run into any issues with people with trimming those trees, or because you just top them is all you do, right?
Well, it kind of historically, just experience that I've had with other airports, because we haven't really done anything here at the Gratiot County Airport for quite a while.
Mhm.
Tree trimming on private property.
Mhm.
Other airports, they leave it up to the landowner. If they want us to top the tree, if it's a pine tree and you top the pine tree, it will stop growing. If other trees will continue to grow, and so we might have to go back. In majority of the cases, they rather have it removed.
Mhm.
And in some cases, they don't really care because they go, "Oh, you're going to take down this tree that we've never liked anyway." So
You're doing our dirty work for.
yeah. So some of them are on, some of them are in kind of a wood area at the end of the runway past what the county owns. So those trees aren't near any buildings. We do have some trees that are near buildings. So, but we'd have to work with the landowner and see what.
Are any of them harvestable trees that the landowner could possibly get some value if they were to be logged per se?
Most of them are soft woods. If they want it to use or sell, that would be a possibility.
Most of it's maple, ash, that kind of tree.
Okay.
Nobody
Any real value there. We can assist the landowner with getting somebody there to harvest it to, you know what I mean? So that there was some money involved in it for them.
A lot of pine trees and a lot of maple trees and a lot of dead ash trees and stuff like that.
So, to give a little more clarity to that, probably 3 years ago, we had an airport improvement plan where we have to do those ever so often. Part of that plan is that they fly over it with an aircraft on a clear day, and they take photos of all that area around the airport. And from those photos, the imaging is quite accurate, so they can give us the GPS coordinates of all the trees and the height of and projected height in 5 years. So we have trees that are too high now, which are considered red in color, and then yellow is in 5 years, if they continue to grow, will be issues.
Mhm.
So, and then green are probably 10 years.
Mhm.
So.
But the advisory committee thinks that the sooner we get going on this, we get it out of the way. It needs to be done. And so,
This is the time of year to do it.
exactly.
I mean, this is the time.
And so so there again, yeah, so there again, we'd like to have the authority, get permission to go ahead and get the ball rolling on that, and they'll send an RFP out for cutting trees. So anybody else can make a motion, I don't care.
Make a motion to cut the trees right now in the winter or approaching winter solstices.
We'll have to notify the owners. We'll have to probably meet with some of them. Some of them will probably say, "Hey, go ahead, have fun." Others, they say, "Hey." So we have to talk through the, safety issues and the easement issues, but then get them into agreement of what they want to do, so.
But we can talk about it, and if we don't do it, it doesn't get done, and I think now is the time to get it done.
I think it's the time of the year to get it done. Plus, we just took over the airport and want to make improvements to the airport. This, to me, I sure as hell wouldn't want to be in an airplane that hit the tree on the way into the Gratiot County Airport. I think.
On the way out, really.
On the way out, it caused us more problems than somebody being ticked that they own property in the easement area at the airport.
I'll second his motion.
A motion by Jim, second by Jan. Excuse me, to go ahead with cutting the trees at the airport. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, nay.
Okay,
Motion carried.
all right. Another thing I'd like to speak to is, the advisory committee was all in agreement that we need a new terminal. In order to get that, the first thing we have to do is get the engineer. After we get the engineer, we have to get an engineering study done to put a grant in to get the terminal. The engineering study is going to cost between $20,000 and $30,000. So, and I'm trying to look forward here to not have so many advisory committee meetings. So if we get some of this ahead, so I would like to make another motion that we would allow the engineering study be done on the terminal to be used for the grant up to $30,000.
That's a lot of money.
Not compared to what we're going to be spending on.
What do they do? They go in and they tell you how it should be built? Whether you should have it or not?
The person that is qualified to do airport construction will give us drawings. They have to be sent into the state in order to get a grant. Either that or don't build a terminal.
They were talking about, then you got a company that's actually working on the grant already for you. Wasn't that at a previous meeting?
No, we don't have one.
You don't have one.
No, we thought we did, but now this having to go out and get another request for proposal got in the way of that.
Okay, because I know at one of the previous meetings, there was
we were talking about, yes.
Okay.
But we found out that this deadline came, so we have to find a request for an engineering firm. Not necessarily the one we have, whoever comes in.
So we did submit for the terminal grant this year. Because we don't have a terminal study done, the likelihood that we will get it is next to zero.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll get feedback from it. In order to have a terminal study done, it needs to be in the contract between the airport and the airport's engineering firm.
Okay.
It is not in the contract with the current firm. That is why the state is asking us to put out an RFQ for new, not necessarily a new firm, but a new contract that will
conclude this
terminal
study.
Okay.
It's just FAA stuff. State of Michigan.
The current terminal is written. Yeah, well, it's
Take you out there.
Yeah, I'd like to see it sometime because I know you guys are talking about the old issues.
I had to take you out there.
It's
Yeah,
its lifetime.
it's been used about 20 years longer than it should have been.
Like to go on that tour also.
Yeah.
What's my George? So you have a support by Tim that we allot up to $30,000 for the search for an engineering firm on the terminal study.
Okay. Now, also talked about.
We need to vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
But my
All right.
thinking was going ahead here.
Good catch.
So should we be approved for this terminal grant? The cost of this study would be eligible for the grant, but if we do not get it.
Yeah, if we don't get it, it doesn't, obviously doesn't cover it, but it will be covered within the grant. So we just gotta move forward and get stuff done. So, the hangars. The airport currently owns a hangar that's on the east end of the airport where all the hangars are. And that hangar's, how long is that hangar, Dennis? Long one.
You talking about the ones that are owned by?
Yeah,
Individuals?
well, no, the ones we own.
There's a three-place.
Yeah.
Hangar, and then there's also, I think it's six-place hangar.
Okay. Well, those hangars are in desperate need of repair. Desperate need. And so I'd like to have another looking at getting quotes to go ahead and repair those hangars and paint them, because they're in rough shape. And so with the roofs all have to be repaired, they're all metal buildings. So they have to be painted or whatever we can do there. And how many, do we need doors?
Well, the doors are sliding doors.
Yeah.
Okay. They were built when the airport was built.
Yeah, so we need doors. You just told me what we need. But to look at that and get quotes to see what it would cost, bring those stuff, that up to standards. You know, when you fly into a place or when you're driving into somebody's yard, you look around and if the bushes are all trimmed and the yard's all mowed, man, it's a nice place to be. But you go in there and you see some of that stuff and they go, whoa, do we really want to be here? We want to make it an inviting place for pilots to come in. So,
now, how old are they? When was the airport built?
1970.
1969.
69, I started 70, other than that, by far.
Before my time.
Was there an airport?
Well, let me tell you, it was 53 years ago. Let me put it that way. But 69, it was 53 years ago.
Yeah, so I guess my concern is before we just throw a bunch of doors on this, what kind of shape are they stud built buildings?
They're steel.
Are they, the steel structure? Okay.
Yeah.
So that should be still good,
Yeah.
viable. I just didn't want us to throw a bunch of money into it.
No, we wouldn't throw any money into anything till we found out what the costs are anyway. So
Yeah,
this is just asking to go out and get bids on repair work on that building. We get a number and then we can decide what we need to
want to do or need.
right, but we need the number first. That's what I'm asking to do. So if we could just go ahead and allow that to happen, our people will send that quote out, and we can get moving on that. So I would make a motion that we would go ahead and get bids on repair of the airport hangars.
Support.
Moved by George, supported by Tim, to allow the airport authority to go out and get bids to fix up the buildings. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Okay, one more thing I want to say. The tank farm is up. It's got fuel in it. Now, we've got all the other little details done, except if we're still waiting on the card reader.
Correct.
Have we got all the other stuff done now, Dennis, that was supposed to get done with the washing wick? I forget what it's all stuff you need.
I can give you a little update. There was a punch list done on the field farm. There was roughly, like 12 items on the punch list. At this point, 4 of them have been completed. So we're waiting on the credit card machine to be operational. So hopefully.
Do we have any word on that at all, when that might happen?
Well, we submitted it a week and a half ago on Friday.
Yeah.
Dennis had conversation with somebody that said it would probably take 2 to 4 weeks.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so we're looking in January, middle of January.
Hopefully, yeah. With the holidays, that's
Well,
part of the issue too.
End of middle to the end of January. And let's hope, have we got any other little knickknacks that we have to do or everything else?
No, most of it's, there's some emergency signs that have to be put up, but that's part of the contractor. There's some binders that they need to give us for about all the equipment in the
Sure,
facilities and stuff. There's some the area light that was put up over the tanks stays on down to dusk, but it was supposed to be have a sensor on it. It was supposed to be on a low dim unless motion detector picked up something, then the light would come up to a higher level. The company that did the electrical work, the company that supplied that didn't supply the right light. So they're looking into that. So there's just there's some ladders, there's a tank access ladders on the back of the tanks. They were supposed to have lockable metals on there so that people can't climb up the tank. They're working on that. I talked to Sparling Corp today. There's supposed to be 2 dipsticks. They brought 1, so it's kind of a minor issue, but
that's why something.
so yeah, so there's this little stuff that punch list that you normally get on a project.
Right.
So
You anticipate that being done approximately the same time as the one or the reader?
my estimate is it'll probably be done about the same time. So
Okay.
I mean, they're little stuff, but
Okay, if the card reader comes before all this is done, can that fuel station be used?
oh yes, yeah,
Okay.
we could manually use it today. We just can't.
Right.
We'd have to actually have somebody physically fill the airplane and then run a
Right.
credit card separate. So,
that's-
and we'd have to use it through our old system and then reimburse the county.
So
So
we should, I would think our fly-in volume is pretty low this time of year anyways.
yeah, we had 2 planes flying today. So
That's good.
yeah, so. We had a jet that was supposed to be in, but the weather was a little iffy yesterday, so they diverted to someplace
The
else.
wind was bad.
Yeah, well, it was bad where they were, but they wanted to make sure they had de-icing. We don't have any de-icing equipment
Yeah.
for jets, so.
Okay. Well, that being said, I think unless you've got something else you want to add, Chris.
Would you like, would this authority board like to pursue an RFP for removing the tanks from the ground so we can get on someone's radar?
Well, certainly, I'm sorry, I forgot about those. Removing the tanks.
We,
Or is there a company that, is it a sole source type?
no, I think there's multi companies that probably does that work. There's some out of Mount Pleasant, there's some out of Lansing, Jackson. But we'll have to check around a little bit, and maybe get some feedback or some estimates on doing that. We had scheduled that for next year anyway. Probably the only other thing that's pressing, is that we still have fuel, probably roughly 500 to 700 gallons left in the old tanks. And the Department of Underground Storage Tanks wants us to get that vacuumed out, put in the new tanks
Before.
and then they want us to take any sludge out of the tanks, wipe them down so they're ready for removal.
Okay.
So I did talk to Sparling Corp about getting a bid on that. So I don't have that yet.
Cleaning the tanks, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
So, but we still need to get a bid on removing the tanks.
right. But that'll probably be a spring project when we actually do it, but good time.
Yeah,
to
but
get
it's
the
good time
bids.
to get the quotes in him. So,
Right.
all right, very good.
At the very least, we'll want to get that under
Now,
contract.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and allow a quote to be done for removing of the 2 storage tanks.
2 stories.
2 storage tanks.
I'll second it.
Moved by George, supported by Jan to go ahead and get bids to see about removing the tanks. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Okay, I think that's the end of my report. So,
There was a
missed some?
airport roof repair bid that was already submitted. I don't know what you guys want to do.
that was something that we had just got. We have to approve that, don't we?
We do, this board needs to make a selection.
Yeah.
The bids that were submitted for the roofing project.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So there's a 500 square foot area, a roof and a hangar that is, rented by the FBO currently. Is that correct?
No, this is a roof on the north side of corporate hangar 3. And it's a roof on a little office area. It's the 2 hangars are actually rented by Al's Aerial Spray. So we had new roofs put on the main part, but that lower roof wasn't touched at the time. So
The city of Alma did solicit these bids. The low bid being with 5-star roofing for $8,805 with 30-year warranty. That would be the recommendation.
Anybody know? I've never heard of them. Anybody know?
I'm just amazed by the swing in price.
Oh,
You know, one of them's 38,660 for the same, roof.
All the way up to
Square foot.
8,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a over $30,000 swing, and
Yeah.
for a roof with a 30-year warranty that's a little bit much for 500 square feet, but
Hey, that's okay. We'll take it.
yeah. Who did the other roof? I guess would be a question. Do you remember who did the other roofs?
it was the other roof was tied to there was new hangar doors that were put on. The contractor that put those hangar doors on damaged the roof when they took off the old ones. And they tried to seal it up with tar and stuff dripped down on airplanes and stuff. And so we got some emergency money from the state, Michigan MDOT, and it was a company that does a lot of state projects. And they were very excellent, but this is a pretty small project.
Yeah.
Compared to what that would be, so.
Obviously you don't want this roof to end up sticking out like a sore thumb being a small 500 square foot.
On the back of the building, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
It's a flat roof.
It's a little flat roof that sits on the back of their hangar.
Okay.
I think one of the bids actually was going to take it all the way down to the studs and then put a metal slanted roof on it.
Yeah.
That was for the $12,000 bid if you wanted to eliminate the possibility of water.
Mhm.
on it.
I like that 30-year warranty myself. $8,800.
Mhm.
What say ye, folks?
We have a motion?
A motion to do the 8,000 bid for the
5-star roofing. I'll support that.
Motion by Tim, supported by George, to go with 5-star roofing for $8,800 for a 30-year warranty to fix the roof on the hangar. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
There you go.
I think, just to keep everybody up to speed here, we do have, PAPI lights out. They're directional lights when people come in to land, and they tell whether you're too low or too high. Runway 9 lights are out. We ordered parts quite a while ago. I got an update. They're thinking that it's gonna be the end of the month, which probably means January.
Well, getting there, at least they're coming anyway.
Yeah, and we do have, it's been 3-4 months, but we do have runway lights on 836 that are out due to a chipboard that burned out. So that part, I think, is in. We're waiting for, or the PAPI lights parts are in, but we're waiting for the chip board. And the company that does that charges $1,200 to come out. So they're trying to get all the parts and have them do both projects in one day, so we don't have a double $1,200 thing.
That's
So,
wise idea.
right, so,
Good.
but waiting for parts again, so,
Yeah, right, wait.
okay.
Very good.
Any other questions or?
You don't use those runways, obviously.
No, yeah, we have to put out a notice to airmen that they're not, that one runway is not available for night landing. It's just runway lights, so we use them every day, but not for night, so they'd have to land on the other runway. So they're coming in at night. So we got notices out to the airmen, so.
How much traffic does it actually get at night? That's, I guess.
Depends on the time of year.
Mhm.
You know, weather is a big factor. We've had a lot of funny weather since September.
Mhm.
So flights are down just because too windy, but the other day, you know, it was really windy. So, they get more in the, what, I mean, summertime, of course, the sun's out later, so. But it's usually people that are going someplace and have to refuel, but we haven't had credit card systems that would allow us to refuel for 5 years, so we'll see how that picks up. Before, I think it was like 13 or 16% of our sales on fuel were after later in the day after everybody left, so.
Okay.
I have a question. You mentioned you had a jet flying in and they couldn't land. So what do they do? Go to Lansing or?
They'll go to an alternative source. I don't know. I don't know where they ended up going, but they wanted a hangar to stay overnight and they wanted de-icing. So but it's very common to call, depending on what the weather is, to see what services we offer. So, but we had a couple jets in just right after we had that meeting, advisory meeting, that same day, I think it was. So, so it just depends, you know.
What's the furthest that somebody flies in there? Like, do you have people from other countries fly in?
No, no international, because they have to.
Have to go to customs.
Yeah, we had Indiana, Ohio is pretty common. Once in a while, we'll get somebody from Utah, California, Texas fly in. You know, the boat factories sometimes have dealer meetings. Becks have dealer meetings. People come in for that type of stuff. Agricultural. We got stuff. We had 2 or 3 planes come in because of Alma College football playoff that Saturday. So, I mean, just never know, you know.
Now, the de-icing, is that something that's you're thinking about doing or no?
Not, yes, it'd probably be cost prohibitive.
Okay.
You gotta have the equipment, and you gotta train the manpower, and
Yes,
you only use it 2 or 3 months out of the year, so.
and that's not cheap.
Yeah,
They have to have a special pad for it to drain into and.
Capture it all, you gotta capture it all.
It's a mess.
You don't wanna go down there.
Yeah, that would be
if we had a hangar available, once in a while, people will have a hangar available, and we'll put the plane in overnight. Or if it gets ice on it, we'll put it in a hangar that's heated.
So
And all it melts off and we dry it off and we can use it. But for somebody to fly in, set the airplane for the day and then want to leave and you got potential for ice or snow. So.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right.
So that being said, I'll make a motion to go back to the full board meeting for other discussion.
Motion by George, supported by Tim, to leave the airport meeting and go back into regular session. Does anybody have any public comment?
We need a motion to pay the bill.
Pardon me. Anybody want to make a motion to pay the bills?
Well, yeah, I'll make that. Sorry, I usually do.
I'll second it.
Motion by George, supported by Jan, to pay her bills for. All those in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed, nay. Is there any public comment?
the way we can hear you.
This is a step up, not much of a step, but it's a
Step up. Just a curiosity question. I know from attending the Washington Township meetings, it had been brought up at one point when the transfer of ownership passes from Invenergy to consumers, the issues with, you know, a lot of the roads with compaction and kind of falling apart. That there's a reassessment period, from what I was told, when Invenergy
assessment of what?
of the roads to bring.
Well, this isn't the road commission.
Well, I didn't know if there's any knowledge township wise with you guys attending. I was told that happens because you talked about the transfer of ownership.
Yep. I would assume it's the road commission that would be, I wasn't on the board when they started all this process, but I understand what you're talking about because they were talking about it over there in
Yeah.
And I know there was some concerns from the actual board members themselves on, because to them, it felt like they were trying to rush this thing and that's why they were like, you know, the paperwork has been, they wanted to be sure that everything was in line because, you know, Warner Road, South 57 is, you know, they were wanting to be sure to make sure that it was in tip-top shape like it had been prior to, and you know, this time of year, when it's freeze thaws, all that kind of stuff isn't probably the best time for them to be analyzing that to begin with, so they had some same kind of concern.
The energy companies that build these have an agreement and they sit down with the county and they go over all the roads. They assess them before they start. And they're supposed to follow a route. If they get off that route and use something else, then there's a more of an assessment. But the county will assess that as they go, and then when they're done, they reassess.
Okay, so that's what
know that.
he's asking is that,
I'm asking.
that's what he's asking, are they gonna do that before this,
Oh, they do assess it.
before they close it down and Invenergy out of the picture? I think that's his question is, are these roads gonna be reassessed? And I would assume yes, but I would think that's the road.
Well, before they leave, they should be reassessed.
Yeah,
Yeah, before they've left off, till they pass that off to consumers, and I'm sure consumers wants to make sure that happens.
yeah,
Which is, it's supposed to be the end of the year, correct?
that's what they're shooting for is the end of the year. I don't know whether they're like, I mean, they've sent you the
I
paperwork.
don't know for
So-
sure. You'd have to go down and talk to Mark Kraft.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd ask Mark. I mean, if you call him, he'll know whether they've done it or not, or if they're
Yeah,
in the
but
process of.
that's the procedure. The
Okay.
procedure, I know the procedure. They sat down for all the roads and how much traffic's gonna be on those roads.
Yeah.
Because they just had to reassess the south solar farm because the drain commissioner decided he wanted about 10 ponds put in there. Retention ponds. So when they did that, you got hundreds of yards of soil you gotta move somewhere.
Yeah.
So now they're moving them on roads that they hadn't decided on. So then they're having a little problem with that,
Reassessed,
so. That might be what you're talking about, is them moving dirt all over the place.
That's solar farm, that's one of the mess.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
so if you really wanna find out, go see Mark.
ask Mark. Oh, that's a muddy
I'd like
mess.
to say something
Well, it's,
as a commissioner.
Okay,
I'd like to, I brought cookies, but I didn't have enough for everybody, but now I do. So
waited till everybody left.
the last meeting of,
Hand decorated Christmas cookie?
yes, I made it myself.
Okay, right from the Hearthstone?
But, yeah, they're from
The
Hartsville.
personal baker.
No, normally the last meeting of the year, you don't see, this was a big meeting for tonight.
Mhm.
And so I didn't want to give some cookies and somebody else not. So please, everybody, I'll let the commissioners
Have a cookie.
have a cookie and, you guys are welcome to have a cookie. You should have one.
They gonna turn down a cookie, so.
Yeah, come on up and get a cookie, you guys.
motion by Jim, supported by George to adjourn.
Get out of here.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Call Uber.